Hi there, my name is Carrie Mitchell, and I am English faculty at Front Range Community College. And Sue invited me to come and speak with you on the 22nd, but unfortunately I'm going to be out of town, so I'm going to make this video instead. I hope that you find some of it valuable. Sue and I used to work together at CSU in the English department when we were both lecturers a long time ago, right, Sue? And we had a great deal of fun. We had an awesome team, and I think she's also invited some other colleagues of ours from that time to come and speak with you as well. So Sue sent us some prompts, things we could talk about, but I guess what resonated the most for me was just thinking about you all as she described this, really wonderful and strong group of graduate students who are wondering what they're going to do with their professional lives and how your education is going to translate into various potential settings. And so that really seemed like a good place to start. And having spent the last 15 years at Front Range Community College, I thought maybe I could give you a little taste of what working at a community college here in Colorado has been like for me, to give you a sense of whether or not that kind of work or anything that I talk about might appeal to you. And so like I said, I've been at Front Range for 15 years. I absolutely love my job. I love working at the community college level. I was trained as an English ed major in my undergrad studies, and I always planned on teaching middle school or high school. Fell in love with working with college students when I was GTA at CSU, then became a lecturer, got to continue working with college students, and then just didn't really see myself going back to the K through 12 level. So applied at Front Range, got the job, and have been very happy there. The community colleges, as I'm sure you're aware, are much more teaching focused rather than research focused. And that really spoke to me because I'm very much a teacher at heart. Although I like keeping current on the research, I really prefer to spend my time with students and working with students than doing a whole lot of research. And so that's what drew me to the community college. I was shocked to learn that the students at a community college are really nothing like I had always assumed they were. I had never gone to a community college myself, and I think I was making some very shallow assumptions based on the people I knew in high school who were heading for community college. I've been nothing but pleasantly surprised and blown away by my community college students. So many of them are up against real world struggles and challenges that I have never had to face in my own privilege. And so I just am amazed by what they're able to do while they're in school. And some of the best writing I've ever seen is at the community college level where I teach. So it's been a great experience. I will say that the first 10 years of my career look quite different than the last 5 years. So I'm kind of thinking of those in two different buckets. The first 10 years, I did a lot of teaching. I did a lot of teaching of composition, as you can imagine. So the teaching load at a community college is a bit higher than it is at a four-year school. So we generally teach 5 comp classes per semester, usually with about 24 students in them. Our attrition rates tend to be high, so you'll end up with 17 or 18 students in a class in a typical semester. But it's a lot of work. As you know, teaching composition is very laborious and challenging. But I also did some administrative work, which kind of balanced out my teaching load. And so I would teach, maybe an upper level comp course, couple lower level comp courses, and then maybe like direct the writing center with a few of my my workload credits. And then also I would do some administrative work. Usually we call it a lead faculty position, and this is the person who will hire our adjunct faculty and onboard them and mentor them, provide training for them, support, do evaluations, all of that kind of stuff. So I did a lot of that, both at the Larimer campus in the residential classroom and also for our online learning program. I would do a lot of hiring for that. We also, I got involved in a lot of curriculum design work and just keeping that fresh and trying to reboot our curriculum whenever we felt like it was not working or getting a little tired or, like we needed to refresh it. And so So that's what a lot of my first 10 years looked like. We had some really cool initiatives going on in our department. I'd say the English department at the Larimer campus is extremely innovative. And so we had developed a Writing Across the Curriculum program that was really thriving. years ago that we're sustaining today. We have a service learning program. Both of those were college-wide initiatives, but started by people in the English department. We also have an awesome learning communities program. It's paired learning communities. And so what that means is we take English classes and we pair them with other disciplines, and the teachers co-teach both of those classes. And so I have had the privilege of being able to work with a philosophy teacher and a biology teacher. And so I've gotten to teach combined English 121, which I guess is similar to CO 150 class with like intro to ethics, intro to philosophy, biology classes. And those are just really amazing opportunities because well, you get to keep learning as a teacher. You can pick disciplines that you really like, and then you can kind of dig into those and become sort of experts in those fields as well. So that's been a lot of fun. Other things that we've kind of dealt with and worked with, I guess, we went through a major developmental education redesign a few years ago where basically we decided we had to shrink our Dev Ed writing course offering so that we could move students through faster. They didn't have as many exit points where they would get discouraged and leave the college. And so we did things like combine English 121 with our Dev Ed writing course and basically create like a 6-credit support experience for students. And very surprisingly, what we learned from that is that our supposedly Dev Ed students, those students who tested or placed into a lower level pre-college English class, actually outperformed their transfer level students, peers, I should say, when they got that extra support. And so that was a really interesting finding for a lot of us and really taught us a lot about what it is that student writers, novice writers need. And they need more support. And not surprisingly, they do better when they get that. At this point, I'd say the conversation at our college is really centered on equity and inclusion and what are we doing to help our students from marginalized populations really be successful in the classroom. So we have an equity academy now. That was maybe the one really innovative thing in the last few years that didn't come out of the English department, though we have some great representatives working on that team as well. And so that's a semester-long training that a lot of us are participating in and really thinking about how can we change the discriminatory structures at the college, really make our classrooms more inclusive atmospheres where students can all be heard, be seen, feel that they belong, and really achieve their goals. So my last 5 years have looked different than the first 10 at Front Range. I'd say really the difference has been I used to be very active within my department, and now I've kind of taken on a broader role at the college. I'm currently the Larimer Campus Instructional Coach, which means I get to work with teachers from various disciplines, everything from dental assisting to math to chemistry to nursing to welding and automotive. I get to really just do coaching with those teachers and help them sort of just meet whatever their goals are. And so we do confidential private coaching. It's all voluntary. Nobody's forced to go see a coach. And I run a lot of training and that kind of thing. And so I've had this kind of more college-wide or at least campus-wide approach in the last few years. So in addition to the instructional coaching, the other thing I've been really focused on the last 5 years is trying to work with our college to move people from what I like to call the transmission of knowledge paradigm into more of an active learning paradigm where students are actually engaging in the kind of learning that is more in concert with how our brains actually learn. And so I got really interested in this work about 5 years ago when my philosophy colleague and I were co-teaching, and we maybe inadvertently, I don't know, we ended up creating what we call the best class ever for us. And we weren't exactly sure why this class was so good. It was an online learning community, and our students were writing papers at a level that was just so much higher than anything we had seen, even in the years that we had been teaching together residentially. And so we did some research to try to figure out what was going on, why our students were doing so well, because it happened semester after semester after semester. And so after about 4 times, we said, well, this isn't just a good class. There's something going on here. And when we dug into the research, we found that because of the way we designed the course, we happened to integrate a lot of active learning principles without even being totally aware that that's what we were doing. And it happened because we needed to share a course management site, and we decided we were going to share a grade book. And so everything that we needed to build into the class, we had to very carefully negotiate between each other and really get clear on our outcomes, clearer than I think either of us had ever been, and then design very tightly backwards from each of those outcomes, so that our students could really be successful on each of those activities and papers. And so in our research, we came across a couple of books that I think are phenomenal. And if you're interested in active learning, brain biology, neuroscience, all of that kind of stuff, I would recommend maybe starting with this book here, Terry Doyle's Learner-Centered Teaching. It's awesome. We've had Terry Doyle out to work with our colleagues and to present at our campus, and he did some great work. My very favorite saying that I use in my active learning training all the time is the person who does the work does the learning. And that's just about what all learning boils down to. So that's a great book. The other one is this James Lang here. It's called Small Teaching. And a lot of the most current brain research and learning just comes through in a really readable way in both of these books. And not surprisingly, both of these folks are English faculty. So there you have it. Okay, so the Active Learning Institute, I'm getting ahead of myself here. So Eric and I did a bunch of research, figured out what some of these key principles were, applied for some grants, ended up creating an Active Learning Institute where we train about 15 of our peers or faculty each semester from different disciplines on all 3 of our campuses. So at this point, we've been doing this since 2017. We've trained about 100 faculty, and they've all done course designs around active learning pedagogy. It's been incredibly meaningful work. And so I have found that maybe even more than teaching students, I love teaching teachers and watching them reconnect with their enthusiasm for teaching and remember why it is that they wanted to teach in the first place. So that work has been just really exciting for us, for me. I'll also say that it's affected my own teaching of composition in a huge way, because I think that when I first started teaching comp, I was really interested in getting students to be as enthusiastic about my ideas as I was. And what I've learned from the brain science is that we really need to truly meet students where they are in terms of what prior knowledge they bring to the class, and find those places where they're making authentic connections and build from there. If we really want to see those neural networks grow, we need to figure out what is meaningful for them, how to kind of use those connections to stoke some intrinsic motivation so that they can continue to build on that learning. And so one example of a change that I made was I used to build curriculum around topics that were really important to me. Now I look to see where my students get most interested in the course. And one of the things I found is that they really light up when we watch TED Talks or analyze TED Talks. And so I actually ended up building an entire English 121 curriculum around TED Talks. And we spend a long time studying the genre and all of the rhetorical choices that those speakers make. My students end up writing their own TED Talks. They have to memorize them and deliver them in class. It ends up being a whole celebration at the end of the semester. They get super invested in it, and it's really cool. And it's less about me, and it's more about helping them build on their own authentic connections to what is important to them. The other thing that has really changed for me as a teacher is I realized how limited our brains are in terms of things like multitasking and long-term memory and cognitive load, how much our brains can handle at one time. And it's really caused me to slow down my teaching a lot and to really focus on the process. And so I don't really tear through essays the way I used to with students, and I don't get overwhelmed with piles of essays that I need to grade. I teach a few essays very intentionally, step by step, and my students have to revise all of them. And so most of my work goes into giving them formative feedback now, not so much giving them comments on their papers after they're done, but more in process comments. And then I just do a real quick cursory read of their final, give them a few sentences of feedback on where I saw them grow with a rubric, and I invite them to continue to revise if they want to. It has been a total game changer for me. I used to dread grading student essays. Now I really look forward to it. I can't wait to see how they're going to take my feedback and change their essay and make it stronger. I'd say 98% of the time my students take my feedback, and so it's really rewarding to see how that cashes out in their final draft. And then they feel confident, they feel good about what they're turning in, and I can see them experience some wins as writers, and really build their confidence. So that's just a couple of examples of how this active learning work has really impacted me as a teacher, and how it's just kind of invigorated my love of teaching writing and kept me from feeling burned out by all of those essays, those piles and piles of essays that I used to grade. So I think that's all I'm going to say. I realize I went a bit over 10 minutes, but hopefully there was something of value in here. If you ever want to talk more about any of these things, feel free to reach out to me. You can send me an email at kerri.mitchell@frontrange.edu. Take care, and thanks, everyone.